Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday English Channel with Tom and Kate. We're really happy to have you with us today.
Yes, thanks for being here again. And honestly, today's topic already sounds like a debate between the two of us. We're going to talk about morning people and night people, and I think everybody listening already knows which category you belong to.
Probably, yes. I'm definitely a morning person. I like waking up early, starting the day calmly, and doing important things before the day becomes too busy. For me, mornings feel productive and peaceful at the same time. And actually, morning person is a very common expression in English. People often say, I'm a morning person, or I've never been a morning person.
And I'm definitely more of a night person. I don't enjoy waking up early at all. In the evening, I feel more relaxed, more creative, and honestly, more alive in general. I think many night people feel that mornings are too aggressive. The alarm rings, your eyes barely open, and suddenly the day already wants something from you.
That's funny, because I feel exactly the opposite. When I wake up early, I feel like I have control over the day. Everything is quiet, there are fewer distractions, and my energy feels clearer in the morning than late at night. And honestly, I love the feeling of finishing important tasks before most people are even fully awake.
That sounds exhausting to me. If I wake up too early, I spend the first hour walking around like a confused zombie, trying to become human again. I need time before my brain starts functioning properly. And actually, I'm not fully awake yet, is something people say constantly in the morning, especially before coffee.
Yes, coffee conversations are definitely connected to mornings. I think many people start the day with expressions like, I need coffee, or I'm still waking up, or I barely slept last night. Those are extremely common everyday sentences.
And before we continue, if you enjoy these calm and practical English conversations, you can subscribe to the channel or share this episode with someone who is learning English. It really helps us and we really appreciate it.
Another thing I've noticed is that morning people often enjoy routines more. Personally, I like preparing things the night before, waking up at the same time, and starting the morning in a structured way. I don't like feeling rushed immediately after waking up, and actually, feeling rushed is a very common expression. People say things like, I hate feeling rushed in the morning.
I completely understand that, but my evenings are usually much more organized than my mornings. At night, I suddenly become productive. That's when I answer messages, clean things, watch videos, or start projects I ignored all day. And honestly, many night people say they get a second wave of energy late in the evening.
That's interesting because my energy works completely differently. In the evening, especially after dinner, my motivation starts dropping very quickly. I become less focused and much less efficient. So if someone asked me when I'm most productive, I would definitely answer early in the morning.
If someone asked me the same question, I'd probably say around 10 at night. Which honestly sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud, but that's genuinely when I suddenly feel motivated to do things.
Another thing people discuss a lot is sleep schedules. Some people naturally wake up early without difficulty, while others struggle every single morning no matter how many alarms they set.
Yes, and I think many night people secretly admire morning people a little, not enough to become one ourselves, obviously, but enough to think, that lifestyle, honestly, looks healthier.
Another thing that's very different between morning people and night people is the way they experience weekends. Personally, even on weekends, I still wake up relatively early. maybe a little later than during the week, but not dramatically later. I actually enjoy slow mornings on weekends, drinking coffee calmly, going outside early, or doing things before places become crowded.
That sounds very peaceful, but my weekends look completely different. If I don't need to wake up early, my body immediately takes revenge for the entire week. I sleep later, wake up slowly, and honestly enjoy staying in bed much longer than usual, and I think many night people love that feeling of having nowhere to be in the morning.
Yes, I understand that. But interestingly, when I sleep too late, I sometimes feel worse instead of better. I feel slower physically and mentally, almost like the day disappears too quickly afterward. That's why I usually prefer maintaining some structure even during weekends. And actually, sleep in is a very common expression here. People say, "I slept in this morning," meaning they woke up later than usual.
I use that expression constantly on weekends. And honestly, sleeping in feels amazing when you've had a stressful or exhausting week. You wake up naturally, without alarms, and immediately feel more relaxed. Although sometimes I wake up late and then regret losing half the day afterwards.
That's true. I think many people feel that strange balance between wanting rest and wanting productivity. Another thing morning people often say is that they enjoy having quiet time before the world becomes noisy and busy. For example, early mornings usually feel calmer, fewer messages, fewer emails, less traffic, less pressure.
Yes, while night people often feel the same thing late in the evening, at night, especially after a certain hour, everything suddenly becomes quieter. Fewer notifications, fewer interruptions, and less expectation to respond immediately to people. And honestly, I think that's why many creative people enjoy working late at night.
That's interesting because I actually lose creativity when I become tired. After a certain hour, my brain simply stops cooperating properly. I read the same sentence 3 times and still don't understand it. So if I need to focus seriously, mornings are much more effective for me.
I'm almost the opposite. Sometimes I have ideas late at night that never appear during the day, and I think many people know that situation where they suddenly become extremely motivated at 11 o'clock at night for absolutely no logical reason. You suddenly want to reorganize your life, clean the entire apartment, or start a new project before sleeping.
That's very true. And honestly, mornings and evenings also influence social life differently. Morning people often prefer earlier plans, while night people usually feel more energetic later in the day. Personally, if someone suggests dinner very late at night, I already feel tired just thinking about it.
Meanwhile, if someone invites me somewhere at 7 in the morning, I honestly question their intentions as a human being. And actually, "I'm not a morning person" is often used almost like a warning. People say it to explain why they're quiet, slow, or slightly unfriendly early in the day.
Yes, and I think coffee becomes almost part of people's personality because of that. Some people cannot properly function before their first coffee, and they openly admit it. You constantly hear things like, "Don't talk to me before coffee," or "I need caffeine immediately."
Honestly, I completely understand those people. And another interesting thing is how differently morning people and night people describe time. Morning people often say things like, "It's already late," at 10 o'clock in the evening, while night people sometimes feel the evening is only just beginning at that hour.
That's very true. And I think what's interesting is that neither lifestyle is automatically better. People simply function differently depending on personality, habits, work schedules, and energy patterns.
Yes, and once people understand their natural rhythm better, daily life often becomes easier and less frustrating.
Another thing people often discuss is how difficult it can be to live with someone who has a completely different rhythm. For example, if one person loves waking up early and the other prefers staying awake late at night, daily routines can become complicated very quickly. Personally, I naturally become quieter and slower in the evening because my energy drops. So after a certain hour, I usually just want calm activities and a peaceful atmosphere.
Meanwhile, that's exactly when many night people suddenly become active again. And honestly, I think that can confuse morning people sometimes. During the day, we may seem tired or unmotivated, and then suddenly at 10 at night we start cleaning, talking more, or becoming productive. It probably looks completely irrational from the outside.
Yes, but I think people slowly adapt to each other over time. For example, morning people often learn not to expect deep conversations late at night, while night people understand that early mornings may not be the best moment for social interaction either. And honestly, many couples probably have little negotiations about alarms, lights, coffee machines, or bedtime routines.
Absolutely. Alarm clocks alone can create relationship problems. Some people wake up with one soft alarm and immediately get out of bed, while others need 5 alarms, 2 reminders, and a small emotional crisis before standing up. And actually, hit the snooze button is a very common expression. It means pressing the button to delay the alarm for a few more minutes.
I honestly never understood people who press snooze repeatedly. For me, that makes waking up worse because your brain keeps restarting the process again and again. I prefer waking up immediately, opening the curtains, and starting the day directly before my motivation disappears.
That sentence alone sounds stressful to me. I think many night people wake up slowly because mentally we're still negotiating with reality for the first 20 minutes. And honestly, some mornings feel physically offensive for no clear reason.
That's funny, because morning people often describe mornings in completely opposite terms. We talk about fresh air, calm streets, sunrise, quiet coffee, and productive energy. And actually, productive energy is something people mention often when talking about mornings. Many people feel mentally clearer earlier in the day.
Yes, while night people often describe evenings as peaceful and comforting instead. At night, there's less pressure to answer messages or react to things immediately. The day feels finished, and many people finally relax properly. And I think evenings also feel more personal somehow. During the day, your time often belongs to work, responsibilities, or other people. At night, it finally feels like your own time again.
That's actually a very interesting point. I think many people don't necessarily love late nights themselves. They simply love finally having uninterrupted personal time after a busy day. And honestly, modern schedules sometimes force people into rhythms that don't naturally fit them.
Yes, especially with work or school schedules. Some people naturally function better later in the day, but still need to wake up early every morning because of responsibilities. That can create constant tiredness over time. And expressions like "I'm not functioning properly yet" become part of daily life for many people before noon.
Another thing people discuss a lot is exercise timing. Morning people often prefer training early because it gives them energy for the rest of the day. Personally, if I exercise in the morning, I feel more focused and disciplined afterward.
I prefer evening workouts much more. If I train too early, my body feels heavy and uncoordinated, but later in the evening, I feel more awake physically and mentally. And honestly, gyms often have completely different atmospheres depending on the time of day, too.
That's very true. Early morning gyms are usually quieter and more focused, while evening gyms often feel busier and more social. And I think that perfectly reflects the difference between morning people and night people in general.
Yes, different rhythms, different energy, different habits. But honestly, both groups probably think the other group is slightly strange sometimes.
When you look at all these situations together, it's actually interesting how much people's natural rhythm affects daily life. The time you feel most awake changes your productivity, your mood, your habits, your social life, and even the way you organize your day. And honestly, many people spend years trying to force themselves into routines that don't really match their natural energy.
Yes, and I think that creates frustration sometimes. For example, many night people grow up hearing that waking up early automatically means being more disciplined or successful. So they constantly feel guilty for not functioning well in the morning. But honestly, some people are simply more focused and creative later in the day. That doesn't automatically make them lazy.
That's true. And at the same time, morning people are sometimes seen as too intense or overly organized. I think everybody has met someone who wakes up at 5 in the morning, exercises immediately, drinks green juice, and somehow already completed half their day before 8 o'clock. And for some people, that lifestyle sounds inspiring. For others, it sounds completely terrifying.
Honestly, a little terrifying, yes. But I think the important thing is understanding what actually works for you personally instead of copying somebody else's routine perfectly. Because social media often makes people think there's only one correct lifestyle, when in reality people function very differently.
Another thing people often realize with age is that their rhythm can change over time. Some people become more comfortable with mornings later in life, while others stay night people forever. Personally, I've always preferred mornings because I enjoy starting the day feeling calm and mentally clear.
And I've always preferred evenings because I enjoy the slower atmosphere at night. Late evenings feel quieter emotionally somehow. Fewer demands, fewer responsibilities, and less pressure to react immediately to everything around you. And honestly, I think many people secretly enjoy the feeling that the world finally slows down a little at night.
That's true. But I also think mornings give a similar feeling in a different way. Very early mornings often feel calm because the day hasn't fully started yet. The streets are quieter, notifications are still silent, and there's a feeling of space before everything becomes busy. So, interestingly, morning people and night people may actually enjoy the same thing in different parts of the day: peace and quiet.
That's actually a very good point. Maybe the real difference is not energy itself, but when people prefer experiencing calmness and personal time. Morning people find it early in the day, and night people find it later in the evening.
Another thing I've noticed is how strongly routines affect sleep quality. People often sleep better when they follow more regular schedules instead of constantly changing sleeping hours. And expressions like sleep schedule or body clock come up very often in conversations about sleep and energy.
Yes, especially now because so many people struggle with sleep habits. Phones, streaming platforms, social media, work stress. Many people stay awake much later than they originally planned and then regret it the next morning. And honestly, I think almost everybody has had that moment where they say, I should really go to sleep, and then continue watching videos for another hour anyway.
That's very true. And when you think about it, conversations about mornings and evenings are really conversations about lifestyle, habits, stress, energy, and balance. People are not only discussing sleep, they're discussing how they experience everyday life itself.
Yes, and that's probably why this topic feels so relatable. Almost everybody has opinions about mornings, alarms, coffee, productivity, tiredness, bedtime routines, or sleep schedules because these things affect daily life constantly.
Exactly. And whether someone is a morning person or a night person, the important thing is usually finding a rhythm that feels healthy, realistic, and sustainable long term.
Before we finish, thank you very much for spending this time with us today.
We hope this conversation helps you feel more comfortable discussing routines, sleep habits, and daily energy in English conversations.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to the channel or share it with someone who is learning English. It really helps us grow, and we truly appreciate your support.
Join us in the next episode for another calm and practical English conversation.
Thanks again for listening.
And remember, keep speaking English every day.